but because the institutions meant to maintain the standard are not able to rise to the expectations of the people. So this is the second reason. There has certainly been a fall in the standards of people managing the institutions. After all, remember, an institution is just an abstraction. An IAS, if you say IAS, it is just an abstraction. IAS consists of A, B, C, and D. The people who man the institutions are important, and if those people who man the institutions are unable to come up to expectations and perform in the manner expected of them, there is a certain problem that you face in maintaining the efficiency and the efficacy of the governance and the systems as a whole. The third and the final reason why institutions are crumbling, because of the multifarious types of demands from all sides. In my time, more or less, there were only government services that used to be visible. But today, you have sections of opinion, demands arising from different directions, varied interests, varied lobbies as the economy advances, as the complexities advance, as the nation progresses and prospers, varied interests and lobbies come into view. There are panchayats, there are MLAs, there are politicians, there are ministers. These were not there during the days of ICS. ICS never had to contend with such diverse lobbies, interest groups, and so on. There is media. In my time, the Hindu was almost the only paper, English paper in Chennai, and what was its circulation? 28,000. Hindu circulation was 28,000, and that was the only paper, almost the only paper. All over the country, probably there were in 4 metropolitan cities, there were 4 papers. Statesman in Calcutta, maybe Times of India in Bombay. Now, today, varied interests and varied lobbies, interest groups, they contend for the limited space. Resources are not as much as what these interests would like to have for their betterment. There is a sense of urgency, there is a feeling, there is a revolution of rising expectations, as they say. People are no longer willing to be patient. They see in the media, they see in the electronic media how other people in other countries are living well. They need not look at it in the electronic media. They see even in the society in which they live how the disparities between the rich and poor. They are able to see some people. When Ambani builds about 80-story building with 20 helicopters, 30 swimming pools, and 200 Mercedes-Benz and Skodas, whereas these people have to live in a hutment right by the side of that building in Bombay. So they are able to see that he is arriving in the Mercedes-Benz, and there are 20 Mercedes-Benz carrying 20 members of the families. And they are people, though they may be poor, though they may be illiterate, they have eyes to see, they have emotions. So the revolution of rising expectations have created innumerable demands on the limited space that is available for fulfillment. Therefore, the institutions are more or less in a state of crumbling. Some people would say in a state of collapse. Therefore, you will have to view the IAS not as a case of outright condemnation or outright rejection, but in a proper setting to understand that IAS as an institution consisting of human beings of flesh and blood, as you are, as each one of us is, has to cope with, has to contend with all these problems. Second point that I wish to mention is, has it performed, has it delivered what it was sought to deliver? here the question in the minds of many people is, well, such an educated person recruited through competitive examination, a sophisticated person, he is put there and we expect him to uphold the values of integrity, accountability, transparency, sensitivity, empathy, responsiveness, receptivity, involvement, integrity, excellence. Why is he not doing that? Why are these camps? How is it that so many IAS officials sitting in the defense ministry, why should there be the submarine deal? Why should there be 2G scams, 3G scams, Colgate scams? What were the Pulak Chatterjees and the several IAS people in the PMO doing? I myself have written about this. So, the people's approach to IAS today, they judge the performance of IAS purely in the light of these scandals that are occurring all around us. What are these guys doing? How come that they are allowing their ministers to run amok like this? Is there collusion? There is a suspicion in the minds of people. Are the bureaucrats, the IAS people in collusion with the... After all, how can a minister have a scam of 1,86,000 crores unless the bureaucrats also had a finger in the pie? I would ask you not to look at it in that dramatic sense. Work of various ministries, even today, what was the expectation from the IAS? There were 4 expectations from the IAS. One was, as an all India service, it will provide a national steel frame, a national anchor for public service in this country. In other words, if each state had its own service, if each department had its own complement of officers without any common set of values and so on, it may not be to the good of India, to the unity of India. Therefore, Sardar Patel felt that having an IAS, an all India service, will provide an underpinning for the unity of this country, will uphold the same kinds of values from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Gujarat to Assam, so that they will take wherever they go, because of that training, a certain common set of values which will put India first and the state interests and the group interests last. And remember that in IAS there is a rule even today that half the number of people who are posted to a state in filling the vacancies of IAS in a state, half the number should be from outside the state. The idea being that if all of them are from the state, then they will give in to group interests, political interests, parochial interests, and so on. Therefore, half the number of vacancies in the state of IAS should be filled by people from outside the state. So the first assumption, the first principle in IAS was that it provided the underpinning for the unity and for the commonality of interest of the country as a whole. The second was, many people think, why should there be IAS at all? The second understanding or assumption was and is that a political personality presiding over a ministry, a political person in a district or in a ministry, should have someone who would have made a dispassionate and objective and professional study of the issues coming up in that ministry or the department or in a collectorate, and be able to convey to the person who is not so very sophisticated and so very well informed in his own language, on one-on-one basis, on par, the implications, the ramifications, the repercussions of those issues with their implications, so that he understands the nuances of the situation and is able to arrive at a correct decision in the interest of the people. While the politician, because of his being elected by large numbers of people, knows what the people want. This is the assumption. He knows